Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a pleasure to speak again in this police grant report, England and Wales debate. I'm somewhat of a veteran of speaking in this particular debate because we have an ongoing issue in Bedfordshire that's already been mentioned so far, which is the gross unfairness of the National Police funding formula as far as Bedfordshire and indeed a number of other forces that are concerned, where forces like Bedfordshire simply do not get the amount of money that the National Police funding formula says they should get. Many years ago, this was referred to as damping, and I remember sitting in meetings with the father of the Honourable Lady for Luton North when he was Luton South, when he was an MP many years ago. So these are very ancient issues which really should have been resolved, if I may say, under both her government and my government. So I'm not playing party politics with this, but it is high time that we sort out this national police funding formula. And that was the most welcome part, I have to say, of the Home Secretary's letter of the 1st of February, was the recommitment to doing that in this Parliament. It has taken a very long time, so all speed, please, because it simply is not right and it is not fair. And the reason it's not fair for Bedfordshire is that the current funding formula we have simply does not reflect the very complex crime picture which we have in Bedfordshire, with organised criminal gangs, knife and gun crime, and county lines being rife across our county. And as an example for that, Bedfordshire was disproportionately affected by the EncroChat investigation. We had more phonetic packages, I think, than most of the neighbouring forces put together. Now, we are helped to deal with that by these special grants. So we have this position in Bedfordshire, Madam Deputy Speaker, where we managed to survive financially with our inadequate central grant, thanks to the defective funding formula, by a series of special grants. And they top us up every year. So at the moment, we get £6.8 million for the Operation Bosun work and the Operation Costello work. And that is absolutely critical to the financial stability of Bedfordshire Police. And yet, the government is now starting to taper downwards those special grants. Now, to me, that doesn't seem fair to start doing that, or right to start doing that, before the change to the funding formula. And there has been a request from Bedfordshire Police and from our Police and Crime Commissioner that that taper, if it does have to happen, should not go as low as 65% and only to a minimum of 70%. And I would please ask the Police Minister, I know he's been requested this by the excellent Festus Akubin-Sawyer, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire. I really hope he can agree to that, because it is a very reasonable request, because these special grants, they are not nice to have for Bedfordshire. They are totally fundamental to help us balance the budget. Now, we in Bedfordshire, we have a happier story than I've heard is the case in Durham, in that we now do have a record number of police officers at 1,403. And for that, I am very grateful, and I would like to say thank you to each and every one of those for their brave and invaluable service, and the whole police family of PCSOs and police staff who back them up, without whom they could not do their job. They are there to protect us. They literally will lay their lives on their line for us, and we owe them a massive debt of gratitude. The particular profile in Bedfordshire, though, is that of those 1,403, at the moment 401 are student officers, and that means that they are not as present and available across the whole of the county as we would like them to be. And I have a particular request to my Chief Constable that he restores the presence of 24/7 first response officers back to my towns of Leighton Buzzard, Dunstable and Houghton Regis, as was the case up to October 2012. And I think with modern technology, I think we can do that. I know he is telling me that that will happen as and when those student officers finish their training. As far as I'm concerned, it cannot happen a moment too soon. Madam Deputy Speaker, I won't go on, as I know others want to speak in this debate, and there is some pressure on time, but I just want to end by referring back to what my honourable friend, the Minister, said about the balance of the precept and the grant. And if I heard him correctly, he said that nationally, I think it was 2/3 national grant from the government and 1/3 from the precept. So I did a quick canter through some of the figures after he said that in the letter from the Home Secretary, and I observed that it's quite variable across the country. So in the West Midlands, it's a 21% contribution for precept, Greater Manchester 25%, and the Met 27%. For my county, it's 39%, quite a lot over 1/3, but a bit lower, I have to say, than Hertfordshire, neighbouring force at 42%, and Cambridgeshire at 45%. There is an unfairness there. There are poor people everywhere, in every constituency, who are struggling, and the funding formula does need to address this, actually, because it is not fair. So, it's great we've got this commitment to sort the funding formula out. It cannot happen a day too soon. And please, please, don't taper down our special grants before you've sorted out the funding formula.